Hey guys, Mr. Jenkins here, just following up on the learning check that you did yesterday over the sections we've covered in Chapter 8. First of all, thanks for your hard work. Most of you guys got that done for me. And you'll get an extra credit point if you did. Um, Also, if you did pretty well on it, you'll get a couple of extra credit points. Really, all I wanted it for was some data, just to see what you guys got and what you didn't get. And it wasn't perfect because I've never used quizzes before. Some of you guys complained about the time limits and stuff like that. And actually, there was a question that had no correct answer. So there were some flaws there. But, anyways, it gave us something to talk about. So that's really all I'm doing today. And if after this video you still feel like you're just really behind, you don't get the stuff, just email me and we can figure something out, maybe a Zoom meeting or something else later. But other than that, take the day to just make sure you're caught up on all the Math Excel problems because you'll get a new one starting tomorrow. So I'm just going to go ahead and get right to it and talk about the quiz. So I will say that as you see my screen here, it's not going to be super user friendly. Unfortunately, the page I'm going to on quizzes makes it just a little difficult to see, but I'll try to refresh your memory on what the problem said. You see on number 1, we did a nice job. This problem basically said, what is the graph of x squared minus 4x plus 3? Sorry, y equals x squared minus 4x plus 3 over x squared minus 9. So really, if you just type this one in, you could have gotten it. But I want to talk a little bit more in depth about it. So as far as just simplifying that and factoring it, this would factor out to x minus 3 times x minus 1. And then that's a difference of squares, so a plus b times a minus b, x minus 3 times x plus 3. And so those cancel. And then so this really just simplifies to x minus 1 over x plus 3. Anyways, if you, like I said, if you just type it in, you would kind of see that the answer was A. This is what I mean about user friendly. It doesn't really let us see the problems that well. But yeah, I'm just gonna put that away since it brings up some kids' names anyways. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about this graph. So I'm going to enter it in my calculator as I originally see it. So parentheses x squared minus 4x plus 3, close parentheses, over the quantity x squared minus 9. So just looking at my calculator, which is kind of tough to see there, hold it up a little bit. You can see that the graph really matches A. You can see visually the vertical asymptote at x equals -3, and that's because this guy right here is left after we cancel. That's going to be an asymptote. There's a hole in the graph, which you can't see on the graphing calculator at x equals 3. So actually over here, there's a hole. Where you could see that is if we go to table, then you can see 3 goes to error. So that's a hole in the graph. So that's why if you really look closely at this one, which we can't, there's a circle in the graph there. And then, just again, vertical asymptote, x equals 3, sorry, -3. There's a hole at x equals 3 because that canceled out. And then just some other attributes, or the other major attribute would be the horizontal asymptote. And that is, since these are the same degree, we do lead coefficient over lead coefficient. So that's y equals 1. So if you go back to the calculator, you can kind of see that they both kind of have that horizontal asymptote. There are some other things that we could talk about, but those are the main points. Looking at number 2, and again, here's where it gets really not user-friendly. You can't see the question at all, so I'm sorry, so I'll remind you basically what it said. It said very inversely. So if you didn't have your 8-1 notes, you probably struggled with this one, but they vary inversely, and it said x equals 10 when y equals 8. So the formula for varies inversely is either y equals k over x, or k equals x times y. So if you did, you see a quarter, you guys got it wrong, 0.8x. That would be if they vary directly. Then you would do y over x. 8 divided by 10 gives you 0.8. But here, to find the constant coefficient, you actually multiply the 10 and the 8. So k equals 10 times 8 gives us k equals 80, and then we just plug back into there to get our equation. Our final answer, y equals 80 over x. And that does work with these two numbers. If I sub in 10 there, 80 over 10 gives me 8. So it works out. Okay, so most people got that right anyways. But if you didn't, you did varies directly. Number 3, another one we can't really see, but another one you guys did really well on. Let me see if I can pull up this problem real quick. So it just says describe the vertical asymptotes in the holes. And the problem, I think, says x minus 3 times x minus 1. Hard to see that. I might be getting it wrong. Hopefully not. Over x minus 1 times x plus 5. All right, so these are going to cancel, and this leaves us with x minus 3 over x plus 5. If I want a vertical asymptote, that's anything that makes my denominator 0. So if I solve x plus 5 equals 0, I get x equals negative 5. And again, that's an asymptote. And then the hole is the one that could have been an asymptote but canceled out. So if I solve x plus 1 equals 0, I get x equals 1. And now that I think about it, I remember that this problem was x equals 5. So this factor must have been x minus 5. Sorry about that. So I think the correct answer was x equals 5 and x equals 1. Again, pretty hard to see on this. So sorry about that again. But most of you got that one right. Most got the next one right. So just real quick for those who didn't. So this one just says simplify and state any restrictions. So original problem, we had t squared minus 4t minus 32 over t minus 8. So key is here to factor the numerator. So what's going to multiply to give me negative 32? Add to negative 4. That'd be negative 8, positive 4. So t minus 8 over t plus 4. Also note here that a lot of times there's a built-in clue if you're struggling with factoring. Well, you can probably guess that that might be one of your two factors because a lot of times we have these cancellations. So we're left with t plus 4 over 1, so t plus 4. That's my final expression, and then even though this canceled out, we still can't plug in 8. So that matches with this answer, even though you can't see it. This is t plus 4, where t cannot equal 8. Write that out since you can't see it on the screen. All right, and then number 5, there's a good reason here where you see not as nearly as many people got this one right. Because there was no correct answer choice. So that was me not doing a good job of catching my quiz. So let me just show you what the correct answer was on this one. And I apologize for the confusion. So we have y over the quantity y minus 3 times y squared minus y minus 6 over y squared minus y. I know you guys are impressed with my eyesight right now. Just kidding, but so before we multiply, we want to do some factoring. So on top, I'd have y over y minus 3, nothing to change there, times, and now what's going to add to negative 6, multiply to negative 6, add to negative 1, that'd be negative 3. So y minus 3 and positive 2, so y plus 2. And then this guy, what can we factor out of that? That would be just factor out of y. So y times y minus 1. So what can we factor? Or what can we cancel? Those y's cancel each other. The y minus 3's cancel each other out. So we are left with y plus 2 over y minus 1. That was the correct answer, but it was not an option. So if you got that, good job. And then your restrictions are that y cannot be, kind of look here, it can't be 3, can't be 0, can't be 1. So 3, 0, or 1. So that was the correct answer. Sorry it was not there, and sorry for the confusion. And then the last one, it was our division problem. And I'm glad we get to do this because I didn't do a good job on our video on this one of talking about the restrictions. So it'll be a good chance for me to address that here. So anyways, we have x squared minus 16 over x squared, oh gosh, I think it says plus 5x plus 6. Hopefully I'm not butchering this. Divided by x squared plus 5x plus 4 over x squared minus 2x minus 8. So we will go ahead and factor. So this is a difference of squares. That'd be x plus 4, x minus 4, over, that'd be x plus 3 times x plus 2, assuming I wrote it down right. This would be x plus 4 times x plus 1. And then the last one would be x minus 4 times x plus 2. All right, so at this point, here is how you can tell what any restrictions are. So basically, it's anything after the first fraction bar. So these, all these, and these would be restrictions. If you think about it, if we wrote this as a fraction, it'd be this over these two. So all of these are kind of under an original fraction bar. So actually this, and this are all restrictions. So that's what I'm saying. I didn't do a good job of explaining the first time. So I'm going to go ahead and name my restrictions, and then I'll finish the problem. So x cannot be, it can't be -3, can't be +2. It can't be -4, can't be -1. And it can't be +4 because of this one. So I'm going to make that 4 a plus or -4. And then it can't be -2 because of this one, which that should have been. I wrote it as +2. That should be -2. So we actually had 5 restrictions: -3, -2, which we didn't need to write twice, positive and -4, and -1. So just to be clear, this, and this are all restrictions. Now to get to the math of it, we do same change flip. So x plus 4, x minus 4. I'm going to change it to multiplication and flip that. So x minus 4 times x plus 2 is our numerator, and then our denominator is x plus 4, x plus 1. So now when we cancel, x plus 4 cancels x plus 4. There's nothing to go with the x minus 4, and then these x plus 2's cancel. What we're left with is our final answer of x minus 4 times x minus 4. I believe they wrote that as x minus 4 squared over x plus 3 times x plus 1, which most people got, a lot of people missed. And then the restrictions were all those that we listed at the beginning. X cannot be -3, -2, plus or minus 4, or -1. So hopefully that helps. Sorry, that was a little cut off there. I'll leave that up for a second. And so that's it. So like I said, guys, if you're still really confused after all this, shoot me an email or something, and we can do a Zoom meeting later or something to get you guys squared away. No new material. Look for a possible extra credit opportunity coming later on Google Classroom, but no new material. Get yourselves caught up on your assignments if you're still not, and we'll start a new assignment tomorrow. Other than that, just want to say again, thanks for all your guys' hard work. I do appreciate it. And keep working hard. And I know this is weird for everybody, but I'll say again, like I've said before, the key is communication. If you're struggling, reach out, get some help. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day.